Well, I'm here with the amazing team from Bellden Environmental Services. We've got beautiful Halo and Danny, and they do incredible work tracking scents for land management. Let's go see them in action.
We're in East Brisbane, not far from Ipswich, and I'm here to find out about yet another amazing detection dog initiative. Bellden Environmental Services have been utilising detection dogs to aid in the fight against threats to natural resources. That includes tracking feral animals or locating noxious weeds, but interestingly, it also involves locating water loss from leaking pipes underground. Today, I'm catching up with the man behind it all, Dennis, to find out more about this amazing spin on detection dogs.
So, Dennis, tell me how you got into working with dogs and conservation.
I've been in the conservation field for more than 20 years, specialising in invasive species management, weeds, feral animals and that type of thing. Using traditional methods over the many years, sort of the tracking, signs, etc., mapping. A few years ago I was working with a local council and the focus was on managing cane toads on some of the islands that are off of Brisbane. They're currently cane toad free, so keeping them that way. And I worked with a gentleman called Steve Austin who brought up these magnificent dogs who are trained to find cane toads in camper vans and those type of things. So as the years went on, I kept thinking about how we could apply that sort of the dog's ability to find scent in a variety of other areas. Dogs have been used for many years, finding everything from obviously the drugs, police and that type of area. Within the conservation field, 5 or 6 years ago, there were a couple of dogs. Some were finding weeds, koalas, that type of thing. It was a burgeoning industry, and I decided to get involved with that, specialising very much in finding the very elusive feral cats, feral foxes, and that type of thing, so that we could instruct and assist land managers in giving them a way of managing and getting them to understand the extent of the problem that they have on their properties. So the focus on the invasive species comes from an ecological background. We then started working with the water utilities and stumbled on the water dog. That was
so tracking,
looking for leaking water pipes. Essentially.
So it must have been quite a nerve-wracking period where you've got this dog, you think it's going to work.
Oh, absolutely. So it was a complete shift in mindset for us as well. We were working in a very comfortable environment in the bush, looking for something that we knew was there, to working in very much an engineering, very much an urban setting. Having to get our minds around looking for something that if you can see it, then somebody else has already found it. So it is really looking for that elusive scent, that elusive leak that nobody else can find. But the power of the dog's nose, looking for the signature of the chlorine and the other chemicals that are used to purify the water permeating to the surface.
Okay, so it's not just rainwater, for example. It's that special water they're trained on.
Absolutely, the complexity of training the dog to not find mud, and not find
Otherwise, every time
water.
It rains, you're going to be in trouble, right?
Absolutely, you just run out and want to play with his ball because it's wet. So certainly the dog is trained within a very controlled area and is trained extensively to not find rainwater or tank water or pool water or anything else, but specifically to only find potable water. There's about 18 months of training to get him to a point where we can let him go in the bush, and if he runs around and he says there's a leak over there, that we have a high degree of certainty that,
his
if it's not
accuracy rate's very
there,
good.
it's somewhere in this area.
You said when you got Danny, he had that sort of basic training.
Yes.
You know, is that enough, or do you need to sort of top it up, adapt it to certain environments?
No, it's a big team effort to get a dog working in the field.
Right.
The initial training is undertaken by dedicated dog trainers. Steve Austin, as I've mentioned before, out of Sydney, he is world renowned in training dogs of all variety of uses. Conservation dogs and now these water dogs are one of his specialities. So Steve will approach the dog trainers and say, this is what we're looking for. From our perspective, a dog is very much a tool of trade. They're as important as the four-wheel drive or the GPS or any of those. They're very much a tool in trade. They're not an end to themselves. Yeah. So we will approach somebody like Steve and ask him, look, I need a dog that has the ability to do this. He will find the dogs for us. That's his skill set. He will do all the obedience training. He will then train the dogs using, it takes him 6 months. Yeah. So, to not tell me whether it's a swimming pool, but a proper water. So they train the dog to that scent. At that point, we step in, we get a bit of training, and we match it onto the dog, and we come home. That's not the end of the story, though, because we then need to take that dog and get him working in the field with us. So you can imagine you've got a 18-month-old
bouncy,
young
excitable
male who just won. The day you let him off, you're guaranteed he's down through the creek and you take an hour to find him. Yeah. So we've got to train him on that recall in our environment, train him off things like snakes.
Right, yeah, that would be a big danger. Not to chase
kangaroos, absolutely. Train him to work around roads. So if I blow the whistle and tell him to stop, he has to stop. Because remember, he's running off lead down along, could be along a pavement.
And I bet once he's set, you know, he's focused in on something, probably not having the best road safety.
And also working, obviously, when the trainer has certain mannerisms and dogs are incredibly good at reading body language. So we've got to learn each other's body language.
Right.
They're going to know when I'm frustrated, or I've got to know when he's frustrated. Yeah. So that takes probably anything up to about 6 months before we can confidently open the back of the car and set him off.
Yeah, I mean, it's establishing a working relationship, really, isn't it? Which must, I know you have 2 dogs, that must be quite different for each dog.
Yeah, they're different temperaments, different abilities. That dog is not going to work if it's scared or if it thinks that it's in trouble or anything of that nature. So it's very much a positive, play-orientated relationship. So you have to learn to be positive, and even after a long day, you still have to be positive.
And well, for them, going to work is such a highlight.
Yes.
Which is quite different from sometimes the human experience.
Yes, Look, there's no Monday mornings for these guys. No. They are happy, you know, as we'll see, if you pull out the collars and things, they'll be barking and going crazy, wanting to get on with it. So they have their limitations too. We need to know when they're getting to the end of their concentration period, because they can't work all day. They get tired, they get fatigued. They start going through the motions too. You know.
Acting out a bit.
Middle of winter, we've got floods still. Guaranteed in a few years' time, we're going to have severe drought. In that, we want to offer services to the utilities that we can quickly and efficiently find any loss of resource around, and that could be both in conservation or in just natural resource management.
So that's absolutely fantastic. I think we should see Danny at work.
Not a problem at all.
Let's go see it.
More Dog Jobs Australia after the break. Before we return to Dennis and his water detection dogs, I thought it would be a great time to revisit one of our favourite detection dogs from Season 1, the wonderful Eudy, who along with owner and handler Luke, worked on the Zoo's Victoria Mount Baw Frog program, and who currently work on helping to preserve the habitat for tiger quolls in the Otway Ranges.
Eudy was part of a proof of concept with Zoos Victoria, and one part of that project was to locate ball frogs. So completely different species. So we can train our dogs to find multiple odours once they got to a certain level. And a ball frog is about that big. They're dark brown in colour. They live in dark brown environments. And only the males call. So, and there's only a certain time of the year that they're actually calling. Females don't, so it makes it very difficult to actually locate females.
So if you're just tracking the calls, you're only getting half the picture potentially?
Yeah. And the frog lives in crevices or in burrows or under stuff, so it's not like a scat that's on top of the ground. Yeah. This is actually, potentially could be a couple of metres underground, or so it's a completely different environment, different odour, and a different training process involved as well, because rather than going from an inanimate object, we're going to actually looking for a live animal. So it was a really interesting process to go through with the dogs. Eudy's brother was involved as well, Rubble, and both the dogs were successful at locating ball frogs.
Did they work together, or is it always an independent
Always
process?
Separately, yeah.
Always separately.
The way that I work with dogs is most dogs that I've got trained on, so I'll have two dogs trained on one odour, and rather than going out and working all day just with one dog, I can put one dog away and have a rest while I get the other dog out, and so we actually just rotate through the day. Good welfare outcome for the dogs when we're doing this. We're not pushing them extremely hard, and they've got time to actually sit back and rest and relax during the day while the other dog's out working. And it also creates a little bit of competition. Okay, some healthy competition between siblings. It's my time to work. So it helps with a little bit with that motivation. So they take the time to rest, and then when we come back to the ute, it's like, who's going out next? So being able to have that, and for me, we're using animals for research purposes and looking for that, and we're out here trying to help other animals and understand other animals. We're also using these animals, and so that welfare perspective is hugely important. Being able to manage them in this environment, but also look for the longevity. All my dogs are with me for life, so in their retirement, they're still going to be with me. We look for other jobs that they might be able to do in retirement.
You mentioned earlier that there's a retirement plan for
a dog? So all of my dogs have a retirement plan, whatever it might be. And one of the goals that we're investigating at the moment is the potential for Brubble, who's now 10 years old. He still loves going out and doing some of the detection work. He just can't do it to the level of, say, an Eudy, who's 6 years old. But he's such a stable dog. He loves people, so we're looking at the possibility that he can go into an emotional support type role and help people out, in times of stress and that sort of stuff. So we're looking at different roles that the dogs can take on at different stages of life.
Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing Eudy work, so let's go see him do his stuff.
Eudy! You ready? Yeah, all ready to go, aren't you, mate? Tiger quolls use a latrine site, so there'll be a number of scats all in the same location. So we may find a whole heap of scats, collect it all up, and then we can ask Eudy to come back in and see if we've missed any. So there'll be a number of individuals that have all used that latrine site, so we can actually collect a lot of different DNA samples and get a good sense.
So you're actually DNA sampling to differentiate that, we have 5 quolls here, for example.
Yeah, wow. You can check and also do analysis on their diet, see what they're eating, any diseases. So there's a lot of information. That's why we look for scat. We don't have to look for the animal.
Yeah, I thought maybe that it was just more about tracking the animal, and the scat is something that smells strong, so easy to track, but you can obviously get so much information.
Yeah, and that's the point of finding scats. We don't have to necessarily interfere with the animal itself. We find this, we can do a census, essentially like a census on the population within that area based on the scat samples that we find.
That's incredible.
So that's why this is hugely important.
It's gold.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, even when you've just placed it there, it does camouflage pretty well.
Yeah, so if you think about, if that's been sitting there for a while, we've had wind that may have, just a normal exposure to the weather extremes, that can be covered over. It can start to decompose and break down. So being able to use a dog to find that, if we were just walking through the bush and our eyesight's really limited, so we can see, okay, the wind's coming from a certain direction today, so it's coming over here. We can work out then where the dog might pick up from and which way they're going, what their behaviour will be based on all the environmental conditions that are around us. And then, yeah, we'll go and follow him in. This all suggests to him, yep, we're going to work. And building this up, being able to learn to wear a harness, be able to wear a collar that's fairly weighty, and all of this starts to go, he starts to see it, he gets out and you'll see exactly the routine. And this routine is trained from, when we start doing this odour training, this becomes part of the routine instantly. So he knows once all this is out, work's on.
He's in sort of work mode.
Yeah. Hey mate, you ready? Yeah, get the harness on. So everything's tracked, so we know where he's been, what he's covered. So when we do post-analysis, we can go, yep, this is where he's been, what we've covered. We can work out the environmental conditions and work out all of those sorts of things. Hey, you ready, mate? Hey, you ready? Yeah, let's go. Hey. So you can see that he really gets his nose to it.
Yeah, I see what you mean. And he's looking back at you, just sort of confirming that you're seeing what he's seeing.
Yeah.
Giving you a few extra noses.
So he's like, yep, I've got it.
And the tail is going, so he clearly feels pretty satisfied with his work today.
Yeah. So,
knows he did a good thing.
And once we get to this, like the next part of the stage is, we've got to collect it, and this is the ultimate reward. Hey, yeah, good boy. Hey, yeah. Hey, oh, he's a good boy. Hey. Good boy. Hey, yeah.
Just recall straight away.
Hey, good boy, sit. Hey. So being able to recall, he's going off into an area. You can see just over here the vegetation and how thick it's starting to get with the bracken and that sort of stuff. So being able to maintain that visual with the dog as well is really important. Hence the high-vis jacket.
Yeah, sure.
Makes it really easy to sort of see. We can track him on the GPS, that's not a problem. But then, being able to visually see where he is as well. Good boy. Yeah, good boy, you sit. Oh, well done. Oh, you're a good boy. You want to go back to work, don't you?
We're just outside of Brisbane, catching up with Dennis from Bellden Environmental Services. We're finding out more about his incredible water detection dogs, and it's time for a demonstration.
Okay, come here, sit. All right, so once we put the collar on, he knows he has to work. So we tell him working. All right, then we've got to tell him what he's got to go find. Watch, water, water, find it. Danny. Okay, the scent is here. Water. Where's it? Where's it, boy? Yeah, I can find it. Searching. So it said body behaviour. He's hit a scent. He knows it's here somewhere.
So he's gone quite like sort of low down where he's really scouring.
Yep.
And He's honing in.
Hey,
He's found
where's it? You sure? Stop, stop, stop. Where's it? Stop. Sure? Yes, good boy. Good boy. I'm going to throw that way. And that's what he wants.
This is what he's been working towards.
Yes. Hey. Yeah, ball.
So again, you can see like that you need to have that positive relationship.
Yes.
You know, he doesn't want to play ball with someone who's a big grouch. He
No,
wants to have
absolute-
something that's really fun.
It's fun.
It's good.
Oh, it's fun. And he's just sit there until I come up to him. Stop digging up. Okay, stop, stop. Yes, good boy. Hey. Stop.
Yeah, it really shows you the power of their sense of smell. To
Yes.
think, you know, when we're standing out here, all I can smell is maybe a faint hint of grass. to be able to track water just out in the soil,
That's
it's
right.
just
So-
incredible.
And, you know, the whole ground around us is wet. So,
Yeah, we've got a bit of rainwater,
yep,
certainly.
we've got rainwater, so he's had to find that. The only differentiation between that bit of wet grass and everything else would have been the chemical smell in that.
Yeah.
Okay, good boy.
Certainly makes you, gives you a bit of an appreciation for your own dogs when we're going for walks and they're wanting to smell every single thing, and we're like, come on, hurry up.
Well, it's actually incredibly important for the mental stimulus to, when you are on a walk with a dog, to actually allow it. You know, we think that the exercise
It's
is
the
the
walking,
physical.
yeah.
It's not. For these guys, it's how they define their environment.
Yeah.
So they, you know, they want to know who's walked past
Yeah.
and who's
And
here.
they're picking up
who's...
so much information that we
Correct,
can't even
correct.
possibly conceive of.
Apparently, these guys are 10,000 times better olfactory senses than we've got, and bloodhounds are like
You just can't,
50,000
you just can't conceive of it, can you?
No. Okay, drop the ball. Drop the ball. Like any athlete, these dogs train every day.
Okay.
So we set up targets, and we've put a little target just around the other side of the dog enclosure. We're using fresh tap water that we've just taken straight out the tap. And this is just an ingraining practice. This is just to keep them
Keep it
on top of mind, because like anybody, if they don't work for a protracted period of time, they will go off and find whatever the interesting scent is around. So yeah, every day they get to train 10-15 minutes, and we set up a variety of various challenges for them throughout the property.
Right, so putting the water in sort of different type
so
of
it might
locations.
be in under rocks, it might be in the middle of the driveway, it might be up in the bushland or down near the river or in the creek.
And
all
obviously
over.
they can't see you do that, otherwise they're going to know straight away.
These dogs are actually, while they're not the smartest animals on the earth, they are very, very quick learners. So yes, if you put the scent out and they're watching you, then they know exactly where it is.
Yeah.
So they go live in the shed while we set it
Okay,
up.
yeah.
And the other thing that they're very good at is tracking your scent.
Oh, right, so they could just be tracking where you went.
Oh yeah, they learn that very
Forget
quickly.
about the water.
Absolutely, because remember, all they want, they don't care if they find, how they find the scent, they just
Yeah.
want to play with the ball.
Yeah.
They don't care about the scent.
And
they
actually
care about
tracking
the
your
ball.
footsteps probably a lot easier
Oh, yeah,
than looking out for the water.
absolutely.
So
Don't have to do
how do you
anything.
eliminate that then?
By doing a very intricate pattern of
Right,
walking
okay.
around and around and confusing them and trying to lay false
Throw
trails
them off
all
the
over
scent
the
a little.
place.
Yeah, okay, great.
So that they learn that, you know, it's just easier to go look for the scent than follow me in
In
concentric
circles.
circles.
Well, he's keen to go, so
He
let's
certainly
see
is.
him.
Okay, come on, boy, sit. So this would be a typical sort of training day.
Mm-hmm.
Sit down. Good boy, working. He knows he's working. All right, watch. Watch. You got to tell him what he's looking for. Water. Fine. Oh, you missed it.
Oh, he's quick, isn't he? Yeah, he's
Yes.
already He's already located it somewhere around this area.
So just let him do his thing. Come on, water, find it.
Just like that.
So that's where we put it. We had covered it over with a bit of leaf. Stop. You sure?
He's definitely sure.
Yes, good boy. And then he gets his reward.
Oh.
So a lot of detection dogs, you don't want that digging motion. But with the water dogs, it's actually not a bad thing at all, because it basically marks where he's found it. So that's why we haven't trained him off of that behaviour.
So that is quite a natural instinct for them to want to dig a bit anyway that you have to actually curb.
And different dogs do different things.
Sure.
So some will want to pick it up and bring it back to you.
Yep.
Some will dig, some will just sit there. What we want is him to just sit and show me, where's it?
Yeah, and since we can't see the water, having that physical, him digging a bit gives that physical marker.
It's not what it's supposed to be with a detection dog, but for the water stuff, it works fine. There we go.
All good things must come to an end, as there's only one more episode left to go in this season of Dog Jobs Australia. Be sure to tune in next time for our series finale. I'm Sarah Jones. Thanks for watching.